Hi, it's John Braddock and Mike Gorski coming to you with the April Health Focus video. How you doing, man?
Great. How about you?
Doing good. Weather's getting warmer.
Thank God.
We're ready. We're ready. Hey, we'll jump right into it this time. You know, the biggest thing that I have trouble with is, healthy foods. You go to the grocery store and it's simple. Figure out what's healthy. It says so right on the box. It says, this is good for you, healthy. And so I was wondering if you could visit with us a little bit about, health foods.
Sure. So what I put together is just a quick handout. It's not an extensive list by all means, but it's 5 foods that I think are sometimes advertised as being healthy, and I think they're a little overrated.
Okay.
I think they're overrated.
Awesome. Well, let me guess. Okay. One of them has to be like breakfast food, like cereals and stuff, because you got the Special K, Fiber One, all
Right.
these kind of things. So let's talk about those.
Yeah, I mean, breakfast cereals are one of the worst ones. I mean, a lot of them have the equivalent nutrition facts of eating ice cream or, giving your kids cookies for breakfast. It's sugar-coated, processed wheat, and now they put, it's got whole grains on the cover, or high in protein, but then in the fine print it says, as long as you have it with milk. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, milk's got 7 grams of protein per cup, but just because your cereal's got 4 doesn't mean it's a high protein or a healthy choice. So
Cookie Crisp ice cream or Cookie Crisp cereal is actually what they say it is, right?
yeah, exactly. And if you're looking for a healthy carb, go for oats. I mean, old-fashioned oats, you got high fiber, less processed. And if you're looking for a protein source at breakfast, I mean, the common one is eggs. If you're trying to watch the fat intake, do a whole egg and then some egg whites, which are pure protein. And there's even no rule that says, a breakfast food has to look like a breakfast food. I have clients who eat sandwiches for breakfast or make a chicken breast for breakfast. It's just, there's no rule that says you can't have that stuff for breakfast.
Right. Well, how about this? I know friends, on the way to the gym every morning, they grab a banana on the way out the door, thinking that's, good.
Yeah.
What about bananas?
Well, bananas are an interesting one because I'm not saying they're bad food. I'm not saying fruit is bad by any means. It's great for you. It's important. Bananas are good for that quick energy. Don't get me wrong. But when it comes to their nutrient density, fiber content, and then everyone talks about potassium and somewhat magnesium in bananas. There's better options out there. So bananas are just very dense with carbohydrates, and if you're trying to watch your intake, your diet, it's easy to go overboard by eating bananas. So my favorite fruit is berries. I call it nature's candy. I mean, they're naturally sweet, loaded with phytonutrients, so antioxidants and other phytochemicals that are good for you that just help the body overall.
Wonderful. Let's touch on yogurt. That's another big one.
Yep, and yogurt is one that, plain yogurt isn't that bad. It's got some protein in it, but it's when we get into the flavored yogurts, strawberry or key lime pie. I mean, it's called key lime pie because it's loaded with 20 grams of sugar. I mean, that instantly eliminates the health factor, even though it's low fat. Doesn't mean that's a healthy option. Greek yogurt's got a little bit more protein in it. So I prefer that people take a plain yogurt or a plain Greek yogurt and then blend in some berries, add some nuts, just to add their own sweetness to it rather than just 20 grams of sugar flavoring.
Is Greek yogurt, because I've seen yogurts and I'm not sure which is which, but the Greek yogurt, the one that we buy at home, it's zero fat, non-fat. Is all Greek yogurt non-fat, or are there non-fat and fat versions?
No, it's kind of like milk. You'll have your 2%, and and that's natural occurring fat from the milk that the yogurt's produced from. So it all depends on what your goals are and what you're looking for. But the big thing to watch out for is those artificial flavorings that they add and the loads of sugar that they dump in to make some of those yogurts taste better.
Okay, so go with some of that and throw some of nature's candy. Throw
That's
some
right.
berries in with it.
That's right. You're learning quick. You're learning quick.
I try, after being around you for the last couple of years, I suppose.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, organics and gluten-free stuff. What about that?
Sure. I mean, if you're someone who needs to go gluten-free because of celiac disease, which we've touched on before,
Yep.
obviously that's something you have to do. But it's more the labeling. So if it's just because it has an organic stamp on it or a gluten-free stamp on it, doesn't mean it's a free food or it's a completely healthy food. I mean, they can still be loaded with fat and sugar. It's just less processed. So once again, if you're trying to watch your weight, it's not just, oh, it's got this stamp on it that makes it look all flashy and pretty. You still got to flip the box around, flip the container around, read the nutrition label, know how much you should be eating or how much you are eating, rather than just going off of a little stamp on the cover of the box.
Right, okay, portion sense, right? All right, well, let's talk about the last thing, proteins. You know, some things are labeled, high protein. I mean, we talk about protein a lot in the gym. So what about proteins?
Yeah, and there's your main proteins are going to be any kind of animal product. So any kind of meat, chicken, fish, eggs, and there's a lot of things out there that people will claim are high protein, like quinoa it's a great grain. It's high protein. Well, it's high protein relative to the other grains out there, but it's still only about 5-6 grams of protein, which, if you're trying to get a certain level of protein in the day, it's not going to really get you there without eating a ton of quinoa, and then you're probably going way over on your carbohydrate intake goal for the day.
Right.
So it's still important to realize, just because it's a higher protein grain than white rice, it doesn't make it it's not like eating a steak or a chicken breast. It's completely different.
Right. And I know for those that are trying to get the higher percentage of protein in their diet, it's usually a lower carb intake. And so what you're saying is things like the quinoa or things that are labeled as that, be real careful because you're probably getting way too many carbs with it.
Yeah, like I said, if you're trying to reach your protein goals by eating quinoa, you're going to go way over with your carb intake. And for people who don't eat meat, vegetarians or vegans, there are options out there. Edamame, nuts are a decent source of protein. You still need to watch the fat then, because they're a healthy fat, but you do need to watch those calories because they can add up really quickly.
Wonderful. Well, and again, I think we have an attachment with these 5 points.
Yep.
With it. As always, really appreciate your insight and wisdom.
Anytime.
And we'll see you in May.
Sounds good.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.